Welcome to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast.
Every week, they talk about the Vancouver Canucks with a fair amount of nonsense thrown in.
Sure, they're never the first with the news, nor the best connected, and definitely more off the rails than on.
But they've been talking puck the longest, and that counts for something, right?
So strap in for the longest running, best mediocre Canucks Hockey Podcast.
It's C4 with Chris and Anna.
How you doing, Anna?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Chris. How are you?
You know, I'm okay. What our listeners don't know is for different reasons, we're both tired.
Yeah, me for, world clock reasons. How time works.
Yeah, time works in mysterious ways, and you've unfortunately been challenged by creating a curve in space-time or whatever it is to travel along the flat planet we live on.
Mm-hmm. And
Something
then,
like that.
as well as time, medicine works in mysterious ways. So
it does, and I got my seasonal vaccinations, and you can read into the word seasonal as you see fit, but I am pro-life and science and trusting what me and my doctor talk about. So for those reasons,
all jabbed
I'm
up.
a little bit tired. Yeah, all jabbed up. I don't like I think we talked about this before, but I like how in the old country, you all say, hey, have you got the jab? And I'm like, I like that. Here we talk about the shot, and it just sounds, I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Jab, because jab is a synonym for like a light punch, you'd say, or a little touch, whereas shot means, shot. So, I never thought about it before, but I see the logic.
But it has been a couple of weeks since you and I spoke for a couple of reasons. One, Canadian Thanksgiving, as is our practice, we take a week off for the holiday. You decided to go back home and visit the family. Hi, Anna's mom. I know she's listening. And the Vancouver Canucks got their season underway. And suffice to say, apparently you and I are far too pessimistic, which is very unheard of in the Smealosphere. But the Vancouver Canucks seem to either be a good team or can't figure out how to not be a good team. Or maybe they aren't. I don't know. They got wins.
I got confused in the double negatives there.
I'm just confused from the get-go, so can't say much about that.
Checks out.
I mean, there's stuff and things that have happened, so we're going to get into it over the course of the 2 weeks. It'll be like a long rewind, but not like a full-on 2 weeks of rewind. We'll touch on some of the things that have transpired. We got an F word this week, and if you don't know why, you will, I'm going to say shortly, halfway through the show. The topic that we're going to be discussing, it will carry with it a trigger warning. We'll bring that up both prior to the break that we have going into the F word, as well as leading off the F word for those who need to step away, as the topic that we will be discussing will be sensitive to some, and to explicitly say what that trigger is, we'll be referring to the recently concluded case of the Hockey Canada 5 and how it pertained to sexual assault. But we are some time away from that. But first, let's get into Rewind. I have to share this line that you've posted in the rundown, though I actually wanted to start with today's game first. But the line, which goes back into the start of the season, is Canucks open their season crushing a tired Calgary. And that's true. That's exactly what had happened. And then we got to see how Edmonton Stars showed up and the Canucks can't score. Lazy Quinn finally shows up. Gosh darn that Quinn's such a lazy boy. But before we go back in time and talk about those first two games, let's talk a little bit about the events of today. So I'm going to be very transparent here. I've seen very little Vancouver Canucks hockey so far. That's not because I'm avoiding watching them play. It's just that I have...
Consciously it is, though.
Oh, maybe that is. But the problem that I've experienced is that, one, the Whitecaps have been in a heck of a spell to conclude their season, so there's a couple conflicts there. Two, my daughter is in all sorts of activities that require me to go and transport her and be there and coach and support and all that. Games seem to be scheduled whenever she has soccer. So like today's game, I saw the third period and I needed the catch up, skeets, I think that's what they're called on Blue Sky. But I didn't see it live. I watched the video after. Edel was checked by what the referees described on mic as a good hockey hit by Tom Wilson. And having watched the replay, even slow-mo, I understand how there are so many people out there that look at that and say that's a good hockey hit, because that's the old school, keep your head up, I'm going to run you over, it's not my fault, I didn't go, like, did Wilson charge? No. It's one of the videos that was analyzing the hit had talked about he initiated the hit. It's essentially like middle of the ice, and the hit occurred closer to the boards. I don't understand, if you're initiating the hit somewhere else on the ice, how that wouldn't necessarily be a charge. But if a charge is that you have to be, moving the legs, okay, that wasn't a charge. If you were to argue it was a good hockey hit, how is it not interference? Because the puck was gone.
Like, whatever
Way
you think
gone.
of the hit itself, like, the timing cannot be argued. The puck was gone. Like, Hedel took 2 strides. The timing was bad, so I don't understand how it's not a penalty. Tom Wilson's made a career of this. Like, he is a very skilled hockey player, but he's also, like, known for physical play and physical play that toes the line. We've talked about this before, but he's been suspended 6 times. That's probably not enough for the amount of dangerous hits he's performed in his career. Dollywell did say after the game that player safety will take a look at the hit. I don't expect anything to happen, but to me, like, again, this isn't going to happen, but there should be, like, I think it should be okay for player safety to say, actually, the refs got this wrong. This should have been a minor penalty. It wasn't done, so we move on. But, like, they would never say that. Just to make it clear, they would never say that. But there shouldn't be anything wrong with saying that.
So I've shared it on social media. I think I've shared it on this podcast before. I like how the NHL has empowered referees to assess a major to get the opportunity to review the play. I like that because it allows for a referee to apply a severe sanction, knowing that if it isn't as severe as I had actually seen it in real time, or I might have got it wrong, I can fix that. Whereas in the old way, referees were very hesitant to call a major, and there are actually quite a few that were assessed majors that weren't. This fixes that problem. And we have seen where referees will say, hey, this is a major. They'll go and review. Actually, no, it is only a minor. In this scenario, they said there was no penalty. But this is what blows my mind. You assessed a major for, I don't know if it was hit to the head. I didn't see because I didn't see that live. Again, I was just come home end of the second period.
Yeah. Can't say.
But how do you not then say 2 minutes for interference?
Yeah. Like, that's the minimum to me. Like, at a slowed down rate, how do you not see that it was so late? But like, or
a major for interference. I don't know how you qualify if it's possible. But the thing is he got away unpenalized. And I know there were a lot of people who were going off about how the Vancouver Canucks did not respond to the hit, which is its own issue. Though I truly believe every Canuck player on the ice, having seen the whistle go and arm go up, believed it to be severe enough to be a major.
I mean, it was incredibly indicative of the sort of polarizing nature of hockey fans that, like, almost everyone in the building made an oof sound when the replay got shown, and yet they cheered when there was no penalty called. It was just like, oh, okay, it's either bad or not. But Yeah, as far as the response goes, obviously Mancini threw down with Duhaime. Again, like Duhaime challenged Mancini. Mancini is not a guy who fights. That was his first career fight. But he's a tough player and he's a physical player. So it wasn't really a response in the same way. But yeah, I don't know, especially given what happened in the last couple of minutes of the play, it did seem to me that like the one thing Kane could have done was show a physical response, given that he is not showing up positively on the ice at all. So the one thing he could do was show up physically.
Like, okay.
And I will say, yes, the 4-0 goal does come from a Kane inception. So that would be the one.
To make it very clear, our listeners should be aware of this, but Anna and I are both not pro-Kane Canucks fans. Neither one of us are down with the fact that he is a Vancouver Canuck. We have accepted that we have no control over what the front office does, and that at this point in time, Evander Kane happens to suit up for the Vancouver Canucks on a regular basis. But everything that he was described to be bringing to this team, I have yet to see. Like, there was a point in the third period where the Vancouver Canucks, having squandered a 4-0 lead, though in fairness, missing Filip Edel, Lekkerimaki, Bluger, and then Besser, who did not dress due to personal reasons. They were running probably quite ragged and run down by that point. There are two players up front trying to recover a puck. One of them, Elias Pettersson, who is described as soft, has no heart, doesn't give his all. And Evander Kane, who the big Kane stands are out there are like, he brings the vitriol that the Vancouver Canucks have missed ever since JT Miller was traded, instead of that, lazy Pettersson. Petey was the one who was laying his body on the line. Was it game 6 or 7 of the season? To block pucks. What was Kane offering up? His stick. Then, in an opportunity to get the puck out of the zone, kill some clock, Kane was like, drop pass, which... Anyway.
And can we contrast that moment of low hockey IQ with Connor Garland, who made that interception in the first place? Then, once Washington got the puck back in the zone, from that insane decision, he was the one that hustled in order to get the puck back and force Washington offside at a key moment. Like, the hockey IQ difference, and we'll probably talk more about Garland's hockey IQ and what he's shown so far this season, but yeah. Also, there's the real IQ difference, because apart from that Kane interception for the 4-0 goal, I really think most he's shown is his low IQ by getting his picture taken with the director of the FBI in
saw that
today's
best
political
buds,
climate, insane behavior.
Well, okay.
But to me,
we're not a political podcast in that sense, but I mean, he's not the only one who may.
Okay, but none of those using if you were having a bad time with your current team, if you hadn't played in the regular season for a whole year, and you're at a touchy political time. To me, I just show the basic common sense.
This is the same kid who was in Vegas during the lockout, flashing thousands of dollars. The kid don't think, and I call him a kid because I can. I'm old, but I don't want to. I don't want to dwell on all that is wrong of him, because it's just going to piss me off all season long. Because he's going to dress every game that he's healthy for. He's going to continue to do what he does because the book was written on him. And to see that, and be all excited by it. I mean, it it doesn't correlate well. I think for the other Canucks players that we know are on this team that may politically lean a particular direction, they have the wherewithal to understand the market that they play in, and that regardless of what they think, they don't look to introduce distractions within the team context, whereas Kane don't give two shiznits.
Apparently, yeah.
Philip Hedl, I had commented earlier during the road trip, does anyone else wince when Hedl takes a hit? And there was a collective response from the Smealosphere of yes. Like every single person who replied to me was, I do. I hate to see it. I worry for him.
Yeah.
This hit, if it is a good hockey hit, I'm not dwelling on the fact that Tom Wilson laid him out, but this hit knocked him out of the game and would be easily understood to have concussed Hedl. Every subsequent concussion that you get is exponentially worse than the one previous. And I genuinely worry for his well-being. I'm not looking to awfulize here. I truly hope that he is healthy, that it was just precautionary, that he and the team were like, let's do everything right by the book here. And I'd almost be happy if it was a situation described where Hedl was trying to say, I'm good to go back in, and team's like, no.
Yeah.
We don't need that. Like I again, because sometimes teams gotta protect their players, because the culture is do whatever you can to get yourself back on the ice.
Well, I think
I don't view it that way. I can't see how that hit is anything good.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens on Tuesday, because I mean they're already Lekkerimäki left the game. Brock Besser, we don't know what the personal reason was, whether he'll be ready to go against Pittsburgh. But if neither of them are good to go and Hedl doesn't make it back in the lineup, that's probably indicative of it being pretty
and Bluger's injury, right? Like you
Oh, of course, yeah, as well. And
you've got two centers who are
call someone up, obviously, but we've already got the Abbey line, who have played pretty well, didn't do as much in the Washington game compared to their previous couple of outings, but we're depending a lot on young players pretty quick into the season here.
Yeah. The Vancouver Canucks, though, did get that victory. Thanked maybe for that 4 quick goals to start the game, so to speak.
And Thatcher Demko, as always.
Yeah, totally Demko. But it was squeaky bum time in that third period when Washington started scoring goals. But let's go back to the beginning. So the Vancouver Canucks got things underway with Calgary coming to town, having already played the night before. And the Vancouver Canucks were kind enough to go and get an early goal and then proceed to light it up in the third. I don't know why they took the second period off, but the Vancouver Canucks looked in that game like, the Tocchet era of slow, boring hockey is gone. Foot gets it. He truly does. Philip Hedl got 2 really nice goals. He was playing with speed. He was that Hedl that we saw a glimpse of when he first joined the team before he got confused by the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think if there was any complaint, it was that PD didn't score a goal, because he's expected to score 160 some odd goals this season.
Yeah. And obviously Lazy Quinn. No points from Lazy Quinn.
Yeah, Lazy Quinn, no points. Demko certainly looked like a goaltender who had no issues with his Papa John's pizza muscle. And, he was back to sort of old Demko form. Really good to see. I honestly don't know what more to say about that game. One, it's so long ago, I kind of forgotten and I don't take notes. But what I do recall, Vancouver looked good. And I was already planning the parade. In fact, Justin McElroy had released a series of potential routes. I apparently chose one that went to Stanley Park. You don't like that idea?
Stanley Park is big and confusing. So.
Yeah, so no Stanley Park.
But yes,
but that then
it did look like a big mistake from Calgary to start Dustin Wolf, their most important player, 2 games in a row when he looked absolutely exhausted in the third.
Yeah. That takes the Canucks into Edmonton, where apparently everything that we saw in that game against Calgary was also left at home in Vancouver. I'm trying to think, what was the shot breakdown? Let me look this up here.
15 to 37. Oh, by period here.
Yeah, it was 14-4, 14-5, Edmonton to Vancouver. Edmonton started to take it easy on the Vancouver Canucks in the third period. They only outshot the Canucks by 3, 9-6. But it looked like a Vancouver team that had completely forgotten how to play hockey. Not to discount the fact that the Edmonton Oilers have some seriously talented players on their own right on their team. What they're missing is goaltending. Lankinen didn't look like Demko.
And I think that's fair to say. I will say, so he played, I will say that I don't think it's been exaggerated. Like, it's still the word around the league. Oh, but Demko was in against Edmonton, so it was the St. Louis game that was...
Well, St. Louis, yeah, sorry.
Which is, I do think, like, we can talk about St. Louis. I do think it's fair to say I don't think he was given much help.
No. Yeah, okay, so I do recall. Demko was the reason why it was so close and why it was 2-1 early in the third period.
Yeah.
Again, I should take notes, but I had to remember that
part. No, it's
part.
fine.
Yeah,
I did have to stall just then because I was like, maybe I misremembered that.
No,
I do think they're still being talked about as one of the strongest tandems in the league, and I still think that's fair. I'd love to see Lankinen in a game where his team shows up in front of him and not just Kiefer Sherwood. But yeah, I do think there is a difference, and we're still dependent on Demko staying healthy this season.
Yeah. The Oilers beat the Vancouver Canucks, then come back home. St. Louis Blues are in town. This was the Lankinen game where Lankinen did not look like Demko. To your point, doesn't help when the team in front of you doesn't perform. Fair. But the team in front of Demko against Edmonton wasn't performing either. And Demko was playing Demko hockey. Like, I think we have seen enough to suggest Demko is back.
Yes, and we will get onto the Dallas game, but literally his team was scoring on him, and they still won. So the Blues look better than I thought. I will say that. Jimmy Snuggerud, apart from having the most ridiculous name where he sounds like...
Snuggerud?
He sounds like, I don't know, some cartoon character or something. He sounds adorable.
There's a football player, or American football player, and I think it's the Giants. His last name is Scatabo.
That's cute too. Yeah, I like that. Also, always like return of the former Canuck, because Peter Suter got on the assist. Plus brothers of former or current Canucks, because Mathieu Joseph as well as Captain Braden Chen also getting points that game. I just thought it was funny. But yeah, apart from Kiefer Sherwood, that like Canucks look pretty miserable there. Whereas
Kiefer looked really good.
Really good. And he continues to look good in the absence of everyone falling apart around him. And I just mean that in the sense of people not, being in games like Brock Besser was absent from today's game, and Kiefer Sherwood stepped up pretty well. But yeah, like I thought, I only saw the extended highlights, but that looked pretty miserable from the Canucks. So didn't have much hope heading into maybe the best team in the league.
This is one of the few games I actually was able to watch in its entirety. It wasn't a fun experience. I mean, I watched the Oilers game in its entirety. I watched most of the Calgary game, and this was the one that I got to see all of it. It's actually the last one I was able to watch in its entirety, but it wasn't a fun experience. It felt like talk at hockey.
Right.
And one of the things that has become apparent to me on this road trip is the Vancouver Canucks are like year one talk at hockey right now, where PDO is through the roof.
Mm.
And the hockey ain't the most exciting, but somehow wins are being accrued. But before we get into the road trip, you and I had wondered that Braden Coots had made the opening day roster. Would the Canucks give him a taste of the league? Like, how big of a drink might he have? And we were trying to break this down. Like, does he start at home? Do they take him on the road? You and I had both sort of summarized that he's probably going to last for the entirety of the road trip. Well, he didn't make it to the road. He got a sip of NHL action, and he was then sent back to Seattle after that loss to St. Louis.
Yeah, and obviously it's not a big deal either way, because he wasn't going to stick around much longer. Yeah,
my mic.
I do wonder if they wish they had kept another center on the roster to finish out the road trip. But yeah, I don't think it makes a huge difference either way. Would have been a very cool moment for him to get his debut on home ice for the home opener. Like, that's a very cool moment for him. He earned that, and I think they more wanted to give him that moment than anything else. He's definitely a beat behind NHL speed, which I think we kind of figured.
But if there is one thing that I feel is important to note, there is no recollection that I have of anything that he did wrong in the 3 games that he played. And, sure, that's like saying
trying to keep up,
Jags are superstars. And I'm not going to say Braden Coots is a Jag in any way, shape, or form. But if you're that young and you're not doing drastically wrong things, that's actually a good foundation that you can then build upon. He's gone to Seattle. The kid is a real kid.
Yeah. And
plenty of time
these are the rules as we currently stand. In a year it will be different, but yeah, unfortunately, back to junior.
But the Vancouver Canucks headed out onto the road. They got to take on the Dallas Stars, and they got to meet an old friend, Casey DeSmith.
Yeah.
Casey, he had a rough second period.
I think that's safe to say. Obviously, Dallas got out to a strong start. And you kind of thought that, as the game started, Canucks Stars would just find a way to win by just killing the game off. But yeah, that second period really killed it for them. And once again, Hedl showed up, so that was great to see. Brock, he just seems to be consistently performing.
And Hughes no longer lazy.
Hughes no longer lazy. And then Max Sasson, who just called up in the absence of Coots. He seems to make it count. At least he did against.
He's had a good road trip.
Dallas and Chicago, and he was okay today. But yeah,
the Vancouver Canucks got themselves a 5-3 win, but they played one good period, one really good period of hockey, and spurts of decent play in the third.
But how else are you going to beat the best team in the league?
True.
We can argue whether it's Florida or Edmonton or whatever, but Dallas are one of the best teams in the league, and Canucks need to show up. If they show up for one period and still win, to me that's pretty impressive, especially given that was the first game of the 3 games in 72 hours or 66 hours or however long it was.
It was 67 and change. But you're right. Yeah, it's the 3 full games in less than 3 days. But they get themselves a win, and they then go into Chicago the following night and found a way to get a win there, winning 3-2 in a shootout. They didn't do it the easy way because that's not how the Vancouver Canucks roll. But I have to give credit to Lankinen in this game because he had a much better start than he had the game previous, I guess would be. I was going to say, or is it 2 games?
Yes.
I don't know. Grammar's not my strength.
Yeah. Like his previous game.
Yeah, his previous game. The Vancouver Canucks, again, it's like they don't want to wake up. They take a while, have a rough first period, but then come out in the intermission, all cylinders firing. But what's interesting to note is the second period really wasn't a good period for them, but yet they found a way to score 2 goals, one on the power play, and then Max Sasson, who you can't stop, you can only try to slow down. And the fact that the Vancouver Canucks left the period tied 2-2 and then came out in the third period thinking we don't want it to go any further than this. It to me sort of got me thinking like, oh, maybe this whole reversion to pocket hockey isn't real, is just a mirage, is just a rough spot. No, this was a mirage. This was like a 1 period. We just don't want it to go any further. And then they went into the shootout where 20 different players had to deke a puck before Brock Besser decided, I'm going to take a shot and see what happens here.
Yeah. I will say that like Canucks did have plenty of opportunity. I know they're tired, but like they had a power play against Chicago late in the third. Like it probably should have finished then. It didn't. So
future Vancouver Canuck, what's his name?
Connor Bedard.
Connor Bedard, thank you. I was about to say Connor Garland, and I'm like, that's not right. And then I got thrown off. Connor Bedard, master of the dark arts, proceeded to get a penalty to help his future team try to win. And that was after the Vancouver Canucks were on a power play because Chicago challenged a no goal and found out that the league determined it was still no goal. So
yeah, Canucks have been on the favorable end of that, of some questionable challenges already this season and some questionable timeouts. But yeah, like positive that Canucks found a way to get it done. Negative that, yeah, they didn't. Like, they made Chicago look like world beaters during the first period, especially like Ilya Mikheyev looked like a world beater. And he has, I mean, he struggled in Vancouver and like he was injury prone, but he's kind of continued that form in Chicago, and it's only this season.
Injury prone?
Well,
or being a player who gets shut down for some weird reason to barely make it back for camp. Yeah.
I will say that he's continued to struggle, but he's looked good this season, so more power to him. Maybe there's going to be, more bright spots than just Connor Bedard and maybe Frank Nazar, maybe on Chicago this season. We'll see. But yeah, very important to get it done, even if it took Lankinen going through the shootout.
Lankinen looked in the shootout. Like and I have to give credit to the Vancouver Canucks goaltenders. They seem to understand how to make saves in a shootout. Like I don't recall too many situations where you could say it was all on the goaltender. Like if your goaltender is giving you 2 stops, that should be enough to help you in a shootout.
Canucks have been historically, or at least recently, awful in shootouts.
Unless you're Connor Garland or Brock Besser.
Yes, so hopefully that puts a stop to that form.
Going back in time, though, you and I in our last episode made some prognostications as to points. If I recall, you had the Vancouver Canucks getting, I think, 7 points. I think it was like 3 wins and a loser point.
No, I think we both went 4 on the road trip, maybe 6 overall. Is that right?
Well, I had it, so I was a little optimistic. I believe I had said that the Vancouver Canucks were going to get 4 wins and I think you said 3 plus a loser.
I did not give loser points, so I must have had 3.
Okay. Well,
I think.
We're both wrong. No.
My memory does not do well.
Well,
It's been 2 weeks.
I didn't go back and look, but regardless,
I need to
neither
write
one of us
down.
Yeah, well, I mean that would make sense, but you and I are so professional that we don't write anything down. The Vancouver Canucks have gotten wins. They've lost 2 games. So the fact that they've lost 2 out of a possible 6 is good. I don't think maybe I was the one who'd given the loser point. Because I do recall I was slightly optimistic.
Losing against Dallas, so yeah. I can tell you that for free.
But, going into Pittsburgh, Vancouver has won more games than they have lost. You can't be too upset by that. You can be upset by a lot of other things. You can be upset by the fact that, they've had some significant puck luck. They've got some stellar goaltending. There is obviously concerns as to how injuries are going to plague them sort of moving forward. The fact that the problem that you knew you had going through the offseason and felt you had figured out kind of sort of maybe in the middle of your ice is now a problem again. But yeah, Vancouver rolls into Pittsburgh for, their second to last game of the road trip with a winning record. But they do then take on the Nashville Predators on Thursday. They're back home here to face the Habs. And because the Habs are in town, it ain't going to be a 7 p.m. puck drop in Vancouver. No, it's a 4 p.m. puck drop. They then play a back-to-back. The Oilers are in town for a Sunday night tilt, one that will impact how you and I record our show as these things happen. But Anna, of those 4 games, sorry.
Okay.
How do you think things trickle out here?
They've got to beat Pittsburgh. The fact that it was advertised on Sportsnet as Sidney Crosby's Pittsburgh Penguins, because they really couldn't think of anything else to say.
Okay, so you feel the Vancouver Canucks have to beat Pittsburgh, despite the fact that they currently have...
That they don't have any centers.
2 healthy centers. Yeah. Maybe 3 if you move a player around.
This isn't going to be the Shelov's revenge game.
Okay, so you're giving the Canucks a win against the Pens. What about the Preds?
Yeah, so low-scoring win against the Pens, beat the Preds.
How about the Habs?
Lose 2 straight against their Canadian brethren. Habs look good this year.
They do.
Scary good. Lane Hudson just resigned as well. I don't know. It's weird because even when Habs were running over the Canucks every other night during the crazy North Division year, they weren't that good.
No.
Toffoli was good and that was it. But yeah, they actually genuinely look good now. So let me be optimistic and give them a loser point against Edmonton.
Okay. So you've win-win, loss, loser point.
Yeah. That's actually
that's better than 500.
That's actually good if they get through that with 2 centers.
I'm just giving them 2 wins. I honestly don't think they beat Pittsburgh. I think that's the game they lose. I think they beat the Preds. I think they lose to the Habs. And I'm going out on a limb here, and I think they beat the Oilers. The Oilers still do not have goaltending. Yes, they have a lot more up front. That gives you your 1980s score more goals than the other team by 1 experience.
Okay.
But they haven't looked good as of late. They just lost to Detroit. They looked horrible.
The Oilers, if Connor McDavid is either going to break his scoring drought against Vancouver in a huge way and score a Hattie.
Well, most players set records against the Canucks. That's how it works.
And we blanked them. Not Ovi, not today.
Yeah, true. So you've given them 5, I've given them 4. And we're going to record on Sunday next week at some point in time, and we might be able to answer whether we were correct, because if we're going to record before the game or during the game or after, we don't know. But we are back to our weekly schedule, which is cool for those of you who listen to us. It is the regular season, Anna and Chris, every week, save for those without a holiday. But you and I are going to take a short break here. You are listening to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Anna and Chris. And before the break, just a reminder that we will have a segment, the F word, where, as a trigger warning, we'll be referring to a situation that involved sexual assault.
He liked to say the F word.
Oh, then get the here then. Okay, see ya.
Is going to have the F word on it.
I wish I could give you an explanation about it. I can't.
You, out of here.
You said the F word, Dad.
You called me the F word.
When the verdict came in with the Hockey Canada 5, with a finding that the players were not guilty of the offenses that they were accused of, the NHL didn't rush to judgment. They took a further look at the situation, but came to their own conclusion that there was no reason why these players could not return to play professional hockey and sign contracts with NHL teams. One of those players recently signed a deal with the Vegas Golden Knights. That's Carter Hart. And for me, from a perspective of our legal system, understand that a finding of not guilty is inherently correct, where the Crown is required beyond reasonable doubt to prove guilt. I have no issues with how the judge came to her ruling. But I am not a court. I am not the justice system. I am not the Crown. I'm just a Canucks podcaster who wants hockey to be a better space, one that is inclusive for all. And I do not see how someone who had put themselves in the position they did, where there is no doubt that the situation, however you were to view it, was a positive one for anyone involved, is now given a quote-unquote second chance to continue their career.
Yeah. It's one of those disappointing, not surprising moments. Vegas Golden Knights have kind of been known for their sort of maverick approach to player trades, player transactions. They kind of say we don't give an F. And some ways that, yeah, they've been known as disruptors, and that's been somewhat positive in dispelling some pretty archaic just methods of doing things. So but really, this is just a step back as far as I can tell. I do have many issues with the judge's verdict, not necessarily the fact that there wasn't enough evidence. That was pretty evident from the trial. There was lots of evidence that was not gathered properly, the failings of the initial police investigation, as well as like the huge amount of evidence that was deemed inadmissible from the Block Jenner report. So yeah, not really surprising that the not guilty verdict came about. The judge's reasoning behind her verdict was very troubling as to how she understands consent. And I've had a couple of lawyers say that to me, that they just really don't understand where the judge is coming from. But all that is to say that the legal system, like you say, should not be the bar for like whether these hockey players can have careers or not. Carter Hart has said in his interviews that he just wants to move on. Like, good for him that he has that privilege to move on. EM does not have that privilege. She is the one that did everything she was supposed to do in reporting the incident to police, and it was up to the Crown to prosecute that at this time. That is not a decision EM made. She had her whole life laid bare and raked over. We talked about it before, but like the testimony that she had to give was just and the way she was treated by the lawyers was very troubling. And yet, you know, one of the hockey players that was involved in that just gets to start his career again. It's just, for anyone that says that sexual assault accusations derail careers, no. It's just a minor moment of disruption.
I was going to say speed bump, but it doesn't even feel like that.
And yeah, to me, it's just that legal systems failings, and to me, that goes right back to the start of the investigation. But the repeated failings of the legal system and the sort of legal barriers that we have, you know, the high bar for a guilty verdict, should not mean that we just forget what happened, even if you were just taking the NHL's word for it that said, you know, that the conduct felt woefully short of what we expect from hockey players. Like, I don't understand, even if you only take the evidence we heard at trial that the players admitted to, that you can't find that conduct extremely troubling. Yeah. And yeah, you've got to see that, like, if the rest of the Hockey Canada 5 were any better at hockey, they would have NHL contracts too, right? Carter Hart is just a useful player and that's why he's been the one to break through. Yeah.
So I've been listening to a podcast from Scott Rintoul. It's called Better Sports Parents. And he has, over the last couple of months, talked to a number of different people on really the concept of being or putting tools together to become what is a better sports parent would be, is a parent who has a child involved in sport. He has spoken to Andrea Neal, John Montgomery. He recently spoke to Ray Ferraro, but he also spoke to Rick Celebrini. And I could be misremembering the specific episode. I think it was the one with Rick. But a comment was made to Scott about how when you look at hockey, there is more emphasis on a player and what they're wearing, the attire. Wearing a suit, because a suit is what makes you a professional hockey player, and not enough effort is spent on what it takes to be a good human.
Yeah.
And I'm, as I say, pretty confident it was with Rick because of what he had said his approach was with his sons and how he wanted his sons to be good people, good humans, good teammates. And that needed that focus is one that is very rare in the sports space, specifically within hockey. And when I heard this, I'm like, that I cannot disagree. Like, how many times have I seen, athletes, youth sports athletes who are all dressed up, acting like bad human beings? It's one thing when you're young and you do stupid things. I'm not going to penalize youth for being stupid. I was young and I was stupid. I don't think I came anywhere near the actions of the Hockey Canada 5. But the fact remains that as an adult now, and I bear witness to this, I would much rather the kids be dressed up in like sweatpants.
Yeah.
So long as they're good people. And you and I have, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but you and I have talked about how, our perspectives as to how, coaches and the players should dress.
Yeah.
And what have you. That's not this. Neither you nor I are saying, oh, dress or clothes have anything to do with being good human beings. But I'm pretty confident if you had a choice between hockey players knowing right, like not even thinking, or if you, I don't want to say making mistakes and know how to make amends, but can actually choose the right decision, make good choices that are kind, choices that are in support of us as people. They could wear whatever raggedy clothes
And
that they
just,
could. And that, again, I'm not trying to correlate the two, but the
yeah.
point is that why are we spending so much time? Wear a suit and tie. We should be spending more time. Hey, be smart, make good decisions. The decision should be one that was based in kindness. And when in doubt, don't.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to what you're saying about like making dumb mistakes when you're young, the problem with hockey is that you're in this culture that is kind of infantilizing, right? You spend your entire life with in this sort of siege mentality where like you do everything for the locker room, for the boys. You're in this monoculture that's about toughness, masculinity, reinforces a lot of the time like heterosexuality, promiscuity. It's very white. Yeah, it's very male dominated. It's very privileged just by the fact that hockey's so expensive that it weeds out people of more mixed social classes. And especially if you play junior in Canada or grow up in Canada, you are idolized from a very young age and you kind of feel invincible. So really, we should look at hockey is inherently problematic because of those things. So we should be combating it, that culture from the off, from junior teams onwards. Friend of the show, Brock McGillis, is embarking on another tour, speaking tour, where he talks to all kinds of levels of hockey teams, and that's a really good work. And I think it's absolutely essential work in terms of combating that culture, because until we start shifting that culture, it's always going to be that coming from that problematic place because it's so inherently macho, it's so inherently white, and it's so inherently elitist.
I struggle to understand how anyone can accept the status quo. Like I mean, in the broader sense in the world, there's so much I look at and I cannot come to understand how the choices that so many make somehow normalize hurting others. Like you have a choice to be
look who's
better.
president of the United States.
Well,
like I'm not saying that
begin
has
to
like
understand. No, but like I
effect
can't
on
begin
hockey
to
culture, but it
understand
definitely
that.
normalizes,
It
sexual
does.
assault and privilege, and yeah.
I just and that's the position I'm in. I just do not understand, and I'm more than willing to accept that maybe I'm in the wrong here, but I can't understand how that could be. Can someone explain to me where the normalization of sexual assault is okay?
Yeah. And
like
we said, even if you're screaming at this saying they were found innocent, not true, not guilty is the legal standard in a court of law, by the way. But even if you're saying that, the undisputed facts of what happened, as admitted to and talked about by the players, should be troubling to you. If you regard women as people at all, that should be troubling to you.
And that's the part that gets overlooked. It's like, I'm going to excuse everything that was admitted to as somehow being okay. It wasn't. Now, if you want to say, well, no, it's not okay, but it was never to the point where it was criminally a problem. That's for the courts to decide. Sure, the court seemed to think that it wasn't, but I'm sorry, it's not okay with me. It never will be okay. And I am just one guy. I am a dad. Like, if my daughter were ever to be put in a situation like that, I do not know how I would respond. I don't know how I would even consider a response.
Mm-hmm.
It probably wouldn't be good. And that's not to suggest that because I'm a girl dad, that somehow I see it differently. If I had a son that would put themselves in that situation, I would not be okay with it.
Yeah.
Right? That's you. The admitted timeline is there's a whole lot of wrong there, and there were that's the part that how.
And we're not here to relitigate any case. It's more to say that playing in the NHL is an enormous privilege and should not just be granted to anyone that can shoot a puck or stop a puck. You know?
And, it's also why we've received feedback that our podcast should not be one that talks about these topics because we should keep it to shooting a puck on the ice. That's
just not how life works.
No. And that if any of us want change to occur, we have to continue to have these discussions, to keep it in the present. We can't forget how we got to where we are, and nor can we accept that we can't be any better for it.
Yeah.
So here we are at the end of our first-ish regular season episode of 2025-2026. I mentioned it earlier, and I'm going to mention again, we're back weekly. The next, break won't be for about 3 weeks or so. But we'll be back every week with a new show. When you and I record, maybe time contingent on a combination of everything you and I are up to and the Vancouver Canucks games. But look for new episodes each and every Monday. And if you've reached this point of the show, we would love for you to let us know what we could do this season. We always ask for feedback. We don't get a whole lot. I'll be very transparent, but it'd be kind of cool for you to say, hey, I want to have this segment back, or I want you to maybe bring these guests that you'd spoken to back previously. I would like to know if Adam is okay. I mean, all of those things are perfectly, good questions to be bouncing our statements to be bouncing our way. And to do that, there's a number of different avenues. First and foremost, you go to our website, c4podcast.com. You have a mechanism to reach out to us on all the social media platforms, contact us by email. We actually have a quote-unquote text line, though it's not working-ish well. I mean, it is, but there's a cap. So if you use it, the cool thing about dropping a text message or leaving us a voice message is you get to hear your own self on an upcoming episode. All that info is on c4podcast.com. You can reach us on Discord. Discord.io/C4podcast is the best way to get into Discord. Gate 16 is where all the Canucks chatter happens. Off topic is for everything else. And nom nom for all the greatest food. But Anna, any final words of wisdom to share with our listeners this week?
You just saying nom nom just remind me I didn't post any of the food they ate in the UK, but I had some truly great food. I know people look down on UK food, but one, the fish and chips there are incredible and just so good. And two, I mean, thanks to a history of imperialism, there's actually some really great food options in the UK that they have stolen from other cultures.
Whoa. They didn't steal.
They borrowed. That's what the British Museum is. They just are borrowing all that stuff.
Yeah. Long term. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was up at the in-laws for Thanksgiving, my father-in-law made us some bangers and mash. And let me tell you, there's no way I can replicate what he does, but it is pure gold.
There you go. That's another one that's pretty good. And I had proper bacon. Oh,
okay,
it was so good.
It is not bacon. That is not
streaky bacon isn't bacon because that is just fat.
That's bacon. That's the flavor. You have to accept the bacon that you get here in North America, superior. And if you don't, not much I can do to help you.
I don't accept that. Also, it made me very sad to go in a grocery store in the UK because it's so much cheaper.
Is it cheaper in the UK or here?
Oh, it's way cheaper in the UK.
Really? I can't
Yeah.
I can't speak from recent experience, and I will also concede that part of the struggle I have is when I look at the price, my brain can't comprehend pounds over dollars, and so I far too often look at the number and just say, "Hey, that's not that bad." Hence
Yeah.
why I was paying over $5 Canadian for coffee with cream and sugar at McDonald's.
Yeah, that doesn't seem
So,
wise.
and
But yeah, in general, it's a
that was
lot
before
cheaper.
coffee was stupid expensive.
Yeah, in general, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Final words of wisdom from me. When it is raining, your girls' soccer team all wants to be substitutes. No one wants to
Yeah.
play.
Fair enough.
That was a difficult situation to navigate today, especially when so my daughter's team there are 10 girls on the team. 3 of them were away today, my daughter included. She actually got her seasonal vaccinations yesterday, and then this morning was suffering as a result. But that left us with just one substitute, and all 7 girls who were there were fighting to be that one person.
Yeah, that's tricky when you play a game outdoors in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah, and this is our first day where we had rain, and it was that sort of, it wasn't torrential downpour style rain. So I, having grown up here, having played soccer all my life, having officiated the game as well, I despise the small droplets in heavy wind, because that's the type that I found soaked through me quick.
Yeah.
And then it just gets you like cold to the bone. Whereas like the torrential stuff, when we get the torrential rain, it's often not that cold. And so while you're wet and miserable.
I will say I played a lot of outdoor netball, so I'm very thankful it's an indoor sport here. Mainly just because they don't have outdoor courts, but I will say that I am grateful for that.
Yeah. But Anna and I will be back next week. You can find us at c4podcast.com. Join our Discord. Find us on also the social media platforms. And on behalf of A403, myself at Lightforce, and Craig, our magical recording robot, we out.